how we can have legacy in major events. So Honey will be with our guest over there. She will be welcoming with her Mr. Nasser Al-Khoury, CEO of a Generation Amazing, and someone that I know and I like is 3 times world champions in high jump, Olympic champion in Tokyo, the second highest man on earth after Sotomayor, 243, is Mutaz Bashim. Welcome to all of you, welcome. And it's a pleasure to have you, Honey. I'll let you run this round table with your guest, and feel free to ask the question you want.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So it's definitely our honor to be here today, and together with 2 amazing Qataris, actually. Mutaz, of course, has been introduced, and Nasser Al-Khoury. And of course, we will talk about the legacy that the World Cup will leave behind, specifically that we are talking with one of the best 2 role models in the Qatari community, and growing up with this dream to also host the World Cup, the first ever World Cup in the Middle East, with its uniqueness, with its culture, with its values that it's bringing to all generations, starting from Generation Amazing, which is, when we talk about World Cup, we talk about a lot of stadiums, we talk about security, we talk about infrastructure, we talk about environment, politics, and all. But here today, we will focus a lot about the social impact that Generation Amazing is bringing, starting already 10 years ago. So Nasser, can you please introduce yourself and tell us more about this dream and how it all started?
Sure, amazing. Thank you, Nuni. Hello, everyone. My name is Nasser Al-Khoury. I'm the Executive Director of Generation Amazing. As Hani mentioned, Generation Amazing is the Human and Social Legacy Foundation under the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. We started 10 years ago, or actually 12 years ago, at the early stages of the bid. There was a component by it was from FIFA. There was an emphasis on legacy and specifically on CSR. So Generation Amazing was created and was part of the bid, is part of Qatar's bid to the World Cup Qatar 2022. And in a nutshell, in a very simple term, Generation Amazing is looks at using the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the Qatar National Vision 2030 to use sports as a catalyst for social change. And we promote gender equality, we promote cohesion and tolerance and peace through sports, specifically football, but now we're looking at other sports as well. And over the last 12 years, we've been able to reach 1 million young lives of boys and girls across the world. We're in 41 countries. We've built safe spaces, football pitches in over 30 countries and over 45 communities around the world. We have strategic partnerships with the International Federation for Red Cross and Red Crescent, and we're very thankful that we won the Sports and Peace Award last year for that specific project. And we have a lot of other strategic partnerships. We're looking at also building a relationship now with United 26, looking at the legacy of the next World Cup and how Generation Amazing can continue to carry the legacy from Qatar 2022 to United 26.
So let's talk about specific example. Like we are here in Qatar and in Doha specifically, and I witnessed the youth festival that you have organized, bringing youth from more than 34 countries around the world. And I saw the stories that they brought, and a lot of them like really amazing stories that touched me personally, inspired me personally listening to them about how the festival have transformed their life and brought them the opportunity to excel. And among the examples, I hear also from the stories that a girl from the slums in India who managed to participate in your program, and after that she participated in the Under-17 Women's World Cup in India just this year. So please tell us more about the festival. How did you manage to bring all these youth, the programs you are doing to inspire them to change their lives, actually?
Of course, yeah. So the festival, I mean, this year was a bit unique. This is the 4th time that we hold the Generation Amazing Youth Festival. So, the festival this year was different because it's a year-long school exchange program, and we invited the school from all the 32 countries that were part of the World Cup. And so with FIFA and FIFA Foundation as strategic partners and Qatar Foundation, we were able to create a year-long school exchange program, but it's also a cultural exchange program. So a lot of youth were able to come to Qatar and learn about our Qatari culture, meet with other people, and with each other, right? So we had the French delegation meeting, French residents in Qatar, but also Qataris and people from India, people from Palestine, everyone coming together and learning about the power and the transformative power of sports and football specifically. So the festival, the Generation Amazing Festival, this fourth edition, we had we had different workshops that looked at, how sports could be used for social impact, delivered by UEFA, FIFA, a lot of our partners. Laureate Sports for Good delivered a workshop. We had Nawal al-Mutawakkil as an amazing Arab Olympian athlete speaking about the role of women, an Arab woman, and sports as well.
She's also a champion for peace.
Exactly. So again, the festival basically brought a lot of legends, brought a lot of people to motivate the youth, to talk to the youth. We had David Beckham, we had FIFA legends, Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
A lot of players came out to meet the youth. We had the Secretary of State of the U.S. who came and met the U.S. school delegation. We had the Foreign Minister of Mexico coming to meet his school delegation as well. But also, learning more about the different cultures and different backgrounds. So the festival is really about promoting inclusion. Everything we do across the board at Generation Amazing is, about inclusion. We are an inclusive society in Qatar, but this is something that we want to promote, and we want to promote the values that we all believe in as humans.
Yeah.
Inclusion, social cohesion, gender equality, all the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We use the football pitch to address those social issues and build resilience and leadership and teamwork amongst the youth. So they can, even if we have differences in our opinions or in our cultural beliefs or religious beliefs, we can still have a way forward. We can have different opinions, but on the pitch we play together, we have fun, and it's a way forward. So this is one of the key ethos of Generation Amazing. And we've announced the foundation as part of the festival as well. So this legacy will continue beyond the World Cup.
And that's how football definitely unites the world. If you come to Qatar and see the example that Generation Amazing is doing with embracing all cultures, all people, different backgrounds, religion, races, differences, you will see the power of football in bringing us all together regardless. And that is also a great example how role models play an example. Because you have a great achievement and the first golden medalist and the second best jumper in the world. Now you have to jump from here to show how great you are. And what does it mean to you that you are a role model for? You represent Qatar, you represent the World Cup, you represent all the values that comes from sports. Tell us a little bit more about it, since it started from 2006, Aspire Academy, and all the way to today.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, thank you for the introduction, and sorry everyone that we couldn't join you live there in Monaco, but we do our best to still have some duties to do here with the World Cup. But I'm happy that we could join even virtually, so to have the time and to share with you some of this information that can be beneficial to all of us. To me, as a role model, like as I was talking before, sport for me personally, I'm not talking just about performance-wise. Performance is for me, it's like a job. That's what I do every day. I make sure that I'm on the right path with my trainings, with my nutrition, with my coach, doctor, etc. To be able to deliver the best performance possible. But today, sports stretch beyond that. So there is different values, there is key messages, there is a lot of youth looking up to us. And that's how it started with me, if you're talking about 2006. We can talk that he's the champion today and have such and such achievements or medals, or all that started with this little spark. And that spark because of my father. He used to be an athlete, and he was my source of inspiration. And because of him, I started. I fell in love with the sport, and I always wanted to be just like my dad. And not many people, not many kids, not many in many different places of the world, they don't have this kind of opportunities. They don't have the spark. They don't have someone to look up to. And even if they have such of these opportunities to do, they are lacking development. So for me nowadays, when I see myself as a champion, let's say, I know that there's so much responsibilities. I have different messages to deliver, and I'm very proud to be a part of Peace and Sport, that they have clear message, the right way to deliver
The platform.
the platform, the platform that we need, and through the best tools possible. As I mentioned before, sport is the best tool to deliver this kind of peace messages. As my brother Nasser was mentioning before, we don't have to agree on something, but as long as we have understanding and respect to each other, we can reach somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Differences don't. I feel like this is not a negative thing to have different opinions. Today we need all these different opinions to create something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned again, sport is the best tool ever to deliver these messages and these elements for the young generation. And peace is a big part of it. There's many places, many countries have like coming from war zones, people that lack of even the small, say like privileges of life that we don't even might think about today. If we just have it like we take it as a guarantee, but when you go and see all these people, the sport gave me life, to be honest. And I've seen so much things. I've been traveling the world, and sometimes it opened my eyes like for something that I could never thought this is possible. And to know that we live in 2022 and some places like these small privileges or like not the privileges, I would say like basic, yeah, it's the least basic that they lack of that. It made me feel embarrassed, to be honest. And I always felt like, how can we give back? So really, thank you, Nasser. Thank you, Generation Amazing. Thank you, Peace and Sport, and all these organizations that have this, give us the platform as we athletes to use our success or our persona to spotlight, to make sure these people have the basic need in their life and they start for the future. It's really amazing. And I have to say, I'm a father now. So my son is 2 years old. I think also, how can he have someone to look up to? How can he share, with the society? How can he integrate? The world is changing. There's people from all over the places. And I think that the sport is like the really one tool that brings us all together, all united. Doesn't matter where you are, where you're from, what's your religion, what's your background. We might not speak the same language, but we have something that we look through each other's eyes and understand each other.
Of course, yeah.
And that's, to be honest, I saw this one here in Doha for the World Cup. You can walk on the streets, you can see people from everywhere sitting in one table, sharing a laughter. Of course, does make, if your team is losing, might not be as happy, but at the end of the day, it's all love and peace and unity, and all that comes in one sporting event with football now here. It's really amazing.
I mean, Martez, talking about sharing it with us.
Yeah.
You had a specific, very inspiring, touching moment in the Olympics in Tokyo in 2021 when you shared your golden medal, and to show the values of the Qataris people and yourself with others. Explain this amazing moment for us, because not everyone shared the golden medal. Of course, there are great athletes doing that, and you are among them. So we need to know a little bit about this moment, please.
I mean, we are, as a professional athlete, we're so egoistic. We are so, competitive. We always want to go against each other. We want to always, you're the best, I'm the best, you can't beat me, I beat you. So there's always a competitive nature. But sometimes there is, the target, it's bigger than just the win. Like, I don't want just, okay, he's just the winner. There's something bigger, the bigger person. And for me, to be honest, in Tokyo, that was the case. Why I suggest to share the goal with my friend Gianmarco. Is things, I believe it's things we go through in life that make us who we are. 2 years back, I had a really bad injury. It almost ended my career. I could never thought that I would be able to make it to the Olympics. And he did that, had a similar injury 1 year back. Coming from that sort of injury to be able to compete against the best in the world and beat everyone else. And when I look back, I see that no one is left in the competition. It's just me and him. And I know what I've been through mentally, physically, and so many doctor visits, couldn't really do my trainings. And so it's just so much. And I believe I don't deserve to go home with silver. I need to take the gold. I suffer too much not to go home with silver. And I know he did the same thing. So for me, the message and the purpose was higher than just me going home. I know I don't deserve silver, and I know he didn't deserve silver. So, and that was the purpose, like, for me to share the gold medal.
That's so inspiring, really. And going with this attitude, the resilience and against all the odds and the suffering, we witnessed that in Qatar as well. The dream started already like a long time ago, and it has been given in 2010 for Qatar to host the first ever FIFA World Cup in the Middle East. What does it mean to you achieving that goal? Now, seeing it happening as a Qatari, but also working with Generation Amazing, seeing the work on the ground, contributing to society at all levels, not just only within the World Cup, but beyond. Tell us more about this.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think I'll speak for both of us here. I mean, it's a sense of pride. We're very proud as citizens, to host the world, for everyone to come together. And again, I think part of the message that we've been saying to the world for the last 12 years is that everybody is welcome. And that is the case. In Qatar, everybody is welcome. It's a very inclusive society. As Matt has mentioned, the fans coming together, the Tunisians supporting the Saudi fans, the Saudis now supporting the other teams. All these fans coming together, and it's a representative of our society. Qatar is very diverse. Qataris in Qatar are a minority. We're 300,000 people amongst the 2.5 million population. So again, I think this is something that is part of our ethos. We're very tolerant and understanding of all cultures, of all races, of all religions, and I think this is a moment that the world needs to also change its perception of the region and Qatar, because the message that this World Cup coming to the Middle East is not just about Qatar; it's about the region. It's about it's about the Arab world. It's about the Middle East, and it's about our sort of the Islamic world as well, for people to learn about us and vice versa. So a lot of people are learning about different cultures, but also the fans are learning about Qatari culture and Arab culture. So I think from that perspective, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that have been misrepresented in the media over the last couple of years, and it's been very frustrating, obviously, when there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation that's in the media until up to the lead up of the World Cup. But I think now it's happening, and the people that are here are having a very good time, and this will change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time that the World Cup comes to the Middle East. We use the World Cup as a vehicle to reform across the board, whether it's workers' conditions and human rights. Yes, we're not perfect. There's still a lot more that we could do, and there's still more progress to be done post-World Cup. But regardless of the World Cup, these changes in the labor system and the reforms were going to happen because of our own values as a country, as Muslims, as Arabs. We knew before the World Cup that these things need to change, and they are changing. And reform takes time, and it's changing. There's a pace of reform. There's a huge progress that has been made on the workers and human rights, conditions in Qatar, that we don't get enough credit for, unfortunately. But we're not perfect. We're not saying we're perfect, but there is a lot that changed. With Generation Amazing, we've impacted the young lives of migrant workers in Qatar, but also marginalized populations and refugee populations
in Afghanistan as well, for women.
With the Afghans as well, like with the evacuations, 80,000 Afghans came through Doha. We supported them. We built a safe space. We organized a women football match with our national team and the Afghan national women's team in a World Cup stadium. For them, that was a dream come true. The Afghan national team never dreamt that they would be able to play in a World Cup stadium.
Yeah.
So again, there's so many things that have happened, and in terms of social reforms that took place, and will continue beyond the World Cup, because everything that we've been doing, it's not just for the World Cup. We have the National Vision 2030.
2030, yeah.
So this is again everything that and there's a lot of things, like even the infrastructure, the stadiums, the post-tournament legacy. What's going to happen to all the stadiums? The infrastructure that has been built, the $200 billion that has been spent. It's not just for the World Cup. This is something that the world needs to understand, is that this goes beyond the World Cup. That the World Cup is one of the milestones, and it's we use the World Cup as a catalyst to expedite reform and change. But it's not the end goal. There are going to be more things coming down the line.
Of course, I mean, absolutely, we understand that the change always takes time, and also building trust and gaining trust, it all takes time. I mean, we witnessed that in many countries around the world. But talking about, the values that Nasser has expressed, changing stereotypes and mindset, we all know there's always prejudice around everything around the world, and sometimes judgmental comments or criticism. How did you see that this mega event, organizing the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, will change the mindset of what Nasser has said, in your perspective as an athlete, as a champion for peace, as a role model?
To be honest, like, we as a human, I believe we always have sort of fear of trying new things, fear of going to new places, fear of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But and it's unfortunately and sorry that some of these fears are based on nothing. That's why we have to challenge ourselves. We have to push ourselves to go and see and discover and learn. Learning is one of the biggest factors that gonna change our perspective. When I start as a professional athlete in 2011, it's many places that I wanted to go and compete in, and so many people are like, oh, you don't want to compete there. It's this and that. The people are this, the people are nosy, they're not welcoming. And it's sorry to hear these kind of things, but I did it anyway. And I'm really happy to stand here today and say most of the things that I've heard of so many places around the world is not really true. Or maybe someone have one bad experience with somebody at the airport, for example, and he's thinking the whole country is bad. And that's not the case. To be honest, wherever I go, I always felt welcome, and there's always respect given, respect taken. I always respect wherever I go, the people, the culture, and I'm not afraid to learn about the place that I go to. And to be honest, it's always been an amazing experience. And that's how the same coming back here, the same people that I know that many people maybe they don't know, they have some fear, like how is it there? And today when you see so many people outside, they change this perspective of the country, of the culture. They are embracing it, and as I mentioned before, you don't have to agree with it. We're different, and that's to be honest is the beauty of life. If everybody's the same, what kind of life is that? I love that. When I go in Japan, I'm in kimono, sitting having a tea ceremony, and when I'm in, let's say USA, I go to see White House, and I go with my friends to go to the hiking with the canyons, for example. There's different things that I want to experience with people that of things that do like their cultural thing. I give you a small story. In 2019, Qatar hosted the World Championship in Doha. So I have so many people, so many fans, so many families that they want to come the first time. So of course they'll ask me a lot of questions. How is it? What's that? How can we do? What can we expect? And I said, listen, just come
And explore yourself.
be positive, exactly, explore yourself, and it's an experience. It's once in a lifetime, or I thought so. And nowadays, it's been 2019. At least 4 or 5 families came back after that just to explore the country. So we love it. It's nice. They want to see more, and all that because they just come and witness by themselves. It's cool. It's not always the right source when you hear from different places than yourself. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's always we have that fear in us, but again, it's never the right message being delivered through the media or misleading. Today, it's very easy to go to Google and you can find information about everything.
Yeah.
Honey Mutaz, yes,
Yeah.
we would love to listen to you for hours. I mean,
I still have 1 minute.
it's very interesting. But we have a forum here to keep on running.
Yes, I know.
Okay, one last minute. Okay,
Yes,
then we finish.
honey,
Last message.
Go for it.
From Nasser. Yes, last
Yeah,
message.
I mean, again, I'm just
To all the crowd.
to all the crowd. Again, like I think Peace and Sport is an amazing platform. I think we've been talking to Peace and Sport for a while, looking at a partnership, potentially doing some more work together. I'm very honored to be here today and to be on with Mu'taz and Hani as well. And again, I think the message for me is that again, this World Cup is going to be very unique, obviously from a lot of different aspects. Yes, there are things that there are pros and cons in any country, anywhere you go. Nobody's perfect, but there are a lot of things that are happening at this World Cup that are very unique. The fans coming together, the stadiums, state-of-the-art facilities. Again, this is the last World Cup that's going to be 32 teams in one city. People are going to 4 matches a day. This is never going to happen again, So again, I think from that perspective, I just want to wrap up and say that again, everybody's welcome. This has always been sort of the World Cup for the region and for the Middle East, and me as a Qatari, and I'm sure Mu'taz feels the same way. I'm very proud and privileged, and I have a sense of pride that we're hosting the world, and everybody is here and celebrating with us.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, Mu'taz. Thank you very much, Nasser. It's definitely has been my honor, and we leave you with one message: football unites the world. Thank you very much, and see you soon in Monaco.
We heard it. Thank you very much, Honey. Thank you. It was great. Look, the applause here from Monaco. Thank you, Mr. Al-Khoury. Thank you, Mu'taz. And Mu'taz, I wish you the best. I hope to see you in Hercules next year here in Monaco at the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.